Hi, my name's Simon Quattrocchi. I'm from GV Finance Brokers, and I've put this little pod series together to give you information about what the finance industry is about and how to go about some of the home loans that are available to you. So I hope you enjoy this podcast series.
Welcome back to the GV Finance Brokers podcast. This is episode number 5, and today we are talking about building your dream home. With me, as always, I have Simon. Welcome to the episode.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Simon, there's a lot more land that is going to become available for purchase around Shepparton and the region as well. So people are looking, as they always are, to build houses, and quite often they'll be looking for finance options to build that dream home.
That's right, Anthony. Land is becoming more and more available, and we're finding titling is starting now around about August, a lot more starting to become November, December. We're starting to get those notifications for clients that we've seen some 12, 18 months, even up to 2 years ago, that land is finally becoming available. So we're now starting that process, in a sense, again, to start preparing them for that construction.
Fantastic. And obviously been in the industry and working with construction finance for quite some time now.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been arranging home loans for nearly 20 years now.
Fantastic. Lots of experience. So in terms of home loans, construction finance, what's the process look like?
The process involves realistically gathering all the information up front. The reason we do that is that once the loan has actually started and been drawn down on, you can't make any changes.
Sure.
In the sense of if you add $30,000, we can't just top that loan up by $30,000. It's set in place, and it's in a sense it's locked.
Of course.
So it's very, very important that we go over everything that you want to do. So in regards to that, we go over the fixed price contract with you. We find out what extras that you may be adding that are external to the contract. So what I mean by in regards to that is that we have properties that you might be adding blinds that you're getting a separate quote for.
Sure.
Septic's a common one.
Yep.
Even though locally in Shepparton you would, but if you start going out of town, you'll need that.
Of course.
Sometimes some blocks we're finding a little bit more now, which we didn't believe it was as much, was that power pits, basically. That blocks actually don't have power.
Yeah,
so they've got to arrange Power Core to extend the power to their block.
Of course.
So we've got to try and get estimates for the quotes in regards to that, organise that. That's not so common, so don't freak out over that one. But there's other items as well: fencing, carpeting. You might be adding a separate pergola. Some people arrange their own heating and cooling quotes, sheds, external concreting.
Yep.
So we ask, do you have any of those items in mind? Because we need to arrange now, get the quotes now, and prepare it now.
Yes.
Not think about it later on down the track.
Yeah, fantastic. So make sure you have all of the desired items included at the start, and that'll make a big difference. So when the build actually does start and payment is required, what does that process look like?
Okay, so generally what will happen is we'll ask for the first progress payment invoice from the builder. We ask you to sign it. Now, depending on the lender, sometimes they ask you to write a few words, please make payment. Every lender's different in regards to that process.
Sure.
I have a particular staff member, Kathy, that takes care of all of that. She creates a folder for you, tracks it all, lodges it all for you. She also gathers the necessary paperwork for the first progress claim as well, because we're going to need a copy of the builder's insurance, the warranty, stamped plans, anything that might be in addition that the bank may require. We will generally follow that up either from the builder itself, because they've obviously got to organise it, and anything that might be required from the client, we'll get it directly. But we'll lodge it on your behalf, so that way the first valuation can be ordered, and we try to keep it going as smoothly as possible. So we try to warn clients that just when you put the progress claim in, especially for the first one, payment can take up to up to 2 weeks. Okay. And that's because valuations, we've got to collect this paperwork, get it all in.
Of course, yeah.
So we just try to say, just be prepared that the first payment can take a little bit longer because that's when we collect everything.
And for somebody who is not familiar with the process or hasn't been through a build before, you're talking about collecting the first progress payment. Typically, how is that broken down? How many payments are there, or how many stages might there be through that process of the build? How does that process work?
Typically, you'll have obviously the deposit stage, but then you'll have 5 stages after that, and that's from the slab to the final stage. And generally, what it is most banks are looking for 5% for your deposit, 15% roughly for the slab,
Yep.
and then generally for the final stage, 10%. Now, the stages in between that can vary between 15 to 20% broken up, as long as it all adds up to 100%.
Of course.
Okay, so there are some tolerances that they have to be in legally, but we always will double check that anyway. And look, most builders know that anyway, so they've already got it all prepared.
Of course, yeah. Fantastic. No, and again, the benefit of having a broker on your side who has experience can take all of that, the guesswork and all the work out of making sure those payments go through when they should.
Yep. One of the advices we always add is that keep on saving.
Of course.
The main reason for that is obviously, especially in today's market, we were typically seeing this 2 years ago or 3 years ago, is that there's a lot more variations coming in through from the builders, unexpected price rises or unexpected requirements that have to be done that when they've started digging, something's popped up, basically.
Sure.
And then we've got clients that during the build go, "Ooh, you know what? I'd like that," basically, and would like to add that. So generally, we just keep on saving.
Of course.
Don't stop, because if you add $10,000 to a contract as a post variation, you're the one who has to come up with that $10,000. You can't just go, "Oh, can I get the bank to just add 10,000?"
Of course.
It's just not that simple.
Yep. No, that initial loan, once that's all signed off, that is the loan. And anything from there either has to be savings or some form of additional loan after that's not included in the original. How does, in terms of those costs that might be associated with building where something pops up, or there are variations, all of that comes back to obviously the homeowner and is required to pay there. If there is, like you mentioned, something happens in the initial stages, that is going to be a variation. That's just something that has to be essentially a contingency or be planned for on behalf of the homeowner.
Generally, yes.
Yep.
Look, it doesn't happen very often that it's something that the builder hasn't factored in. That's a little bit more rare. It is more the client will upgrade during the process.
Sure.
And that happens a little bit more here and there. But what we're also finding as well, and this is where it gets a little bit trickier, is that you might have got and this is actually happening more and more, is that you might have got a shed quote, and that was 12 months ago, and you might have got a quote for $30,000, and now you're going to build that shed, and it's now going to cost $40,000.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yep.
That's where we're starting to find a few more changes in regards to the costs increasing. And that's not just for like a shed. It could be that you had blind quote from 12 months ago.
Yes.
Inflation, costs gone up.
Of course.
Same for carpeting.
Yep.
It could be any factor there. So, and that's why it's important now, especially inflation.
Yes.
And everyone's aware of that.
Yes.
Just keep on saving. Don't think I'm going to get to the end of the build and some of those external costs haven't gone up, because pretty much they have.
Of course.
Yeah.
Would you suggest to people then that are in the stages of either planning or looking to put together finance or even just doing some basic calculations, is it advisable that you, rather than essentially maximizing the amount of money that you can borrow or maximizing your serviceability on a build, is it better to make some room or leave some room for things that may come up, whether it is prices have increased due to inflation or it is something that's unexpected that has popped up, or it's a additional variation that you want to add during the build? Is it advisable to make sure that you're, rather than stretching everything to its maximum, playing within a safe space so that you have some room to move down the track?
Well, we always try to advise to play in a safe space. And it's not just maxing out. It's about, is the current loan affordable, right? Can you afford this loan? Now, we do try to build in a small buffer. We're not trying to add an extra $30,000 or $40,000 to a loan just to have a buffer, but we do try build in a small buffer to allow for some price rises. It's just a little bit more common now because we do know that it's most likely going to happen. So we don't want you to get to the end and not be able to complete that purchase,
of course,
or complete that build. So it's important to allow a little bit of a buffer there.
Fantastic. So again, if anybody is looking to organise finance, they want to build that dream home and they need assistance, where should they go?
Come to me, basically.
Fantastic.
And I'll definitely go through it with you.
Excellent. Simon, once again, thank you very much. A value-packed episode, and we look forward to speaking to you on the next podcast.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the GV Finance Podcast. New episodes will be live each month, so stay tuned for up-to-date information about all things finance. Please subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and share on your social media channels.